When I play a game, I often look for key features about these games to determine how much I love them and whether or not I will return to them in the future whenever I want to. These features that I look for are what I like to call the 3 steps. I call them the 3 steps because they are the 3 main steps towards landing up in my top favorite games of all time. What are these 3 steps, you may ask? First of all, gameplay. If the controls and mechanics aren't fun, then you do not pass. Second, music. If I am not actively looking up your soundtrack to listen to it in my free time, then you do not pass. And lastly, story. If you do not give me a story with compelling characters, interesting twists, an incredible villain, an outlandish climax, and some of the craziest stuff that makes me start questioning life itself, then you do not pass. Some games I've played that are my absolute favorites don't check all of these, however. Minecraft, for example, is my favorite game, but does not have a story. Metroid Prime has great story and music, but I'm not the biggest fan of its controls. And then pretty much everything I play has a banger soundtrack, so everything passes here. Now you may be wondering, does The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening really meet all my criterias? How does this simple little Game Boy game measure up to the likes of Elden Ring or even Breath of the Wild? Well, let me show you. Video games is more than an escape from reality. But much like books and movies, not everything in the genre can be considered a work of art. For example, comparing Fortnite to Super Mario 64 is like comparing a magazine brand to The Lord of the Rings. They're just not the same in the slightest. Super Mario 64 was a revolutionary masterpiece that defined how games moving forward would be made to this very day. And Fortnite is just some online battle royale game where kids go to waste their parents' money. I'm one of those people who used to play the game back when I was young and pretty dumb, and now I despise Fortnite because it's one of those games that spits in the face of what gaming should be, an art. Games should show the love and hard work that was put into it, and it should be shown in every corner of it. I would not say Pokemon games are anywhere near my top favorite games, because unfortunately, the Pokemon company just rushes games out, and it sucks because there are moments where you can tell that the developers were really putting their heart into them. But then there's companies that let the developers work at their own pace, work on the rough edges when everything else has been finalized, perfected to the very tip of their hardware limits. And it's because of these reasons that I have fallen in love with this game. Something that I would consider to be one of my only 10 out of 10 games, and it has every right to be in that spot. Gameplay, music, and story, all perfect. A game where you can see the effort and love put into it, and we're pushing their hardware to the very limits. A game that I would defend till my grave, and a game that I think everyone should play. Before I continue with this video, I need to warn you that this game is best experienced blind. I unfortunately failed at this myself, but for your sake, I will be doing a spoiler-free video, so you don't have to worry about spoilers if you want to play the game for yourself after this. And also, I will be talking about every version of this game. The original on the Game Boy Color Remaster, and the Switch reimagining. No matter which version of the game you're playing, I promise you're in for a good time. It just all depends on your preferences. However, I will be mostly focusing on the Game Boy Color title, since that was the version I first played. Footage on screen, however, will be for the Switch version, since that is just the most convenient for me. Alright, now we begin. This story begins at sea, and unfortunately, not in a pleasant way. A deadly and ferocious storm wages on the ocean, and a small wooden boat emerges from the rain. It fights against the waves, trying effortlessly to stay afloat. Link is doing everything he can to make sure that the ocean does not consume yet another victim. And just when all hope seems lost, it is. A huge bolt of lightning strikes the boat, shattering it into pieces and leaving Link stranded at sea, clinging to a single plank of wood, unconscious. It is soon after that a girl is wandering on the beach of a small island after the storm has dispersed. It is here that she runs into the seemingly lifeless Link. She tries to wake him up, but can't. We then get our first shot of a mysterious egg atop of a mountain, as the camera leaves the scene and we get the classic Zelda theme as the title card rolls. Already, right out the gate, the game instills mystery and intrigue into the players. Even on the original game, it does this flawlessly, leaving you with questions as to what this egg is and where did Link end up. And this mystery is exactly what makes the game 1,000 times better. You are in control of Link. and you are figuring out the mysteries with him. It doesn't give us any pre-game explanatory cutscene about the island or who lives there. Immediately, we just get Link shipwrecked on an island and an unknown girl rescues him. I believe that games should have an exciting beginning to rev the players up for what's to come, and this game does this perfectly. Not every Zelda game gets this right, but then there are exceptions with this game and Tears of the Kingdom and Majora's Mask, and I feel that those are the only three with an extreme and destructive beginning followed by being thrust into an enigmatic land. And in terms of the art style for this game, while being slightly controversial, is beautiful in my eyes. The toy-like graphics really bring out how magical the game is, as well as the island is. And I'm absolutely in love with the way Link starts his run while using his Pegasus boots. It's something straight out of Looney Tunes and I'm here for it. And all the characters are so cute, even Link. I'm sorry buddy, but it's hard for you to look fierce and intimidating looking like that. It's just a fact. As well, the music in the game is outstanding. Zelda music in general sounds amazing, but there's something about this game that just feels different, for lack of a better word. Telltale Heights, the overworld main theme, Mabe Village, Ballad of the Windfish, and they even made a version of the song with lyrics in the remake and it sounds simply beautiful. I never in a million years would have thought we would see something like this made after I originally played the game. It fits the style of the game perfectly in a way I could only compare to Twilight Princess. The music and style complement each other so well in both of these games and it's stunning. And that's just the remake. In the original game, the music finds its place even better because, well, it's on a Game Boy. But it doesn't sound bad, not in the slightest. I could listen to 8-bit Telltale Heights all day. Everything sounds good, in both 8-bit and HD, not just the music. Getting an item or solving a puzzle is satisfying as always, and Marin's sing could put me to sleep no matter what version of the game I'm playing. Everything from sound effects to music is some of the best in the franchise. And the best way to listen to this incredible soundtrack is to travel through the lands it belongs to. The best part about Koholint Island, for me, is getting to know it. You don't have ease of access for fast traveling. You use these teleport holes and you cycle through all 4 of them before you reach the one you want. Now people who like to use fast traveling a lot because they hate traveling on foot if it's unnecessary are in luck. The remake adds a lot more of these teleporting things as well as allowing you to use them wherever you are. And as someone who played the remake after the original, this was kinda just annoying. The extra ones are just placed on the ground instead of having platforms of their own, so it just looks ugly. Besides, as I said, the best part is getting to know the locations and landmarks through your traversal. So when I play the remake, I refuse to use any of the extra teleporting options because I just didn't like them. I much preferred the original 4 we got. And on the topic of things that were just ruined in the remake, hidden rooms and items. Another one of the best things about the original was seeing a suspicious looking wall and blowing it up to find a hidden seashell or heart piece. Not suspicious as in it's cracked like in the remake, I'm talking suspicious as in its placement is off. Like there's 2 objects on either side that hint to there being a hidden rim. So you can use your knowledge to see that there's an area you can't reach and determine the best and obvious way of getting there by process of elimination. This is especially important in dungeons, but I'll get there soon. So that was also disappointing in the remake. It may seem like I'm hating on the game, but I'm really not. These are just nitpicks in an otherwise incredible remake that is better than the original in some ways. But one thing I really don't hate is you clicking the subscribe button. So yeah, that was just things that were just nitpicky about the remake. But other than that, I love everything about it. It's absolutely fantastic. And one of my absolute favorite things that is both prevalent in the original and the remake is the dungeons. These are a staple in the Zelda series, but these ones have a certain charm to them. I don't know if it's the condensed screen size limiting what you can do in each room, but it feels different from other Zelda games, but in the best way possible. The puzzles are exactly what you would expect from Zelda dungeons, and as I mentioned earlier, the hidden rooms are really satisfying when you figure it out, and those weird 2D segments in each one are surprisingly well implemented. They don't feel out of place and as forced like the Adventure of Link. Goombas and piranha plants make an appearance, specifically in the 2D parts, but I weirdly like them here. I don't know, it feels familiar and further leans into the fact that the island is, well, something else. Hell, even Kirby made an appearance as an enemy for some reason, but the rest of the monsters are what you would expect from a typical Zelda game. Anyway, back to dungeons. The bosses for each dungeon are definitely fitting for this game. I won't spoil too much, but they're labeled as nightmares, but thankfully they're far from a nightmare to fight. They range from stupidly easy to fun to challenging if you don't know what the hell is going on. But they definitely don't suck, far from it. The final boss is also fitting for the story of the game, and thankfully it's not Ganon this time. And all these bosses fit very well into the story because they're called nightmares. Play the game and you understand why, but it makes the most sense. A few Zelda games, namely Ocarina of Time, have multiple plot holes that can ruin the plot of the game if you think about it for more than a few seconds. But this game doesn't have those. Everything makes sense. I cannot explain why, for spoiler reasons of course, but I cannot think of a single plot hole. And I think the reason for this is because of the simplicity of the story and the game as a whole. When I say simple, it is not a bad thing. It's a compliment, because the plot is so simple, it's even more effective. The Zelda team always puts stories last when making a game, which explains the plot holes. They focus on the gameplay, which I agree with. A game story isn't fun if the game isn't. But here, both are so simple that it's all perfect. No issues at all, in both gameplay and story. And that's exactly why I love the game for what it is. A perfect, simple, little masterpiece. And most games that exist cannot compare to it. And that was all I wanted to say about how amazing this game was, without giving any spoilers. I want to go into a deeper dive into this game at some point down the road, but for now, this is what I can do while restricting myself. But either way, I hope I urge you to try it out for yourself, because by the end of it, you will be a changed person, I can assure you. So thank you, and I hope to see you all soon.
Yeah, hi, post-recording me back. Side note, I almost cried a few times while editing this video when I was listening to the soundtrack for the game. Yeah, I just thought I'd let you know because this game has fantastic music. Yeah, I'll Puckachin.